Hi, I'm Kevin Kimle. I was so excited to go to Washington, Iowa to learn about regenerative agriculture at Continuum Ag's Field Day. Thanks to Mitchell Hoare and the Continuum Ag team and the great speakers that were a part of this event. Some may say that agriculture isn't entrepreneurial, but that definitely was not the case for the 400 and some different thinkers attending this event about regenerative agriculture. All the hallmarks of entrepreneurial people and places were in evidence there. First, there's community building, people coming together to learn. Second, there's the sharing of learning by doing, experiments that are taking place in field to learn new things. Third, there's finding peers and mentors. People learn from other people. And fourth, there was a very interesting use of language of aspiration. More than one speaker referred to regenerative agriculture as a movement. Isn't that interesting for agriculture? Here's some of the great people we met. Enjoy. So Mitchell, great event today.
Thank you.
How many people?
There's about 450 registered between in-person and online. I think here there's somewhere around like 200 or something. I don't know. I don't have a real number.
So multiple times this morning, this has been called a movement.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Other than a lot of people are registered and interested in this stuff.
I think it's just the snowball effect, and we talk about that on you see other people doing it, and now there's more people kind of coming to the crowd, and there's some interesting farmers and folks that are here that weren't necessarily at these things just a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And now they're seeing it take effect, they're seeing their neighbors have success, and now they are saying, hey, I better come and I better learn because something's going on. Mm-hmm. And what's really awesome for me, of course, the strategy here is, well, I want to showcase to these big companies and these companies that are sponsoring and the key folks that we are working with to show them, this is snowballing and we're hosting the party. So jump on board. So I think it's going well. I'm getting the catching my drift. I think we're getting the right people, but that's what it's all about for me is showcasing the movement, showcasing, hey, here are the right things. We've got the people around. We can really do this and really do something cool.
Well, Jessica, tell us about your organization that's working on regenerative agriculture.
Yes, so Great Plains Regeneration is a new nonprofit that has really launched out of the Great Plains region to focus on healthy soil, healthy plants, healthy animals, healthy people, and really bring it home to healthy communities. So we are a group of farmers, ranchers, regenerative advisors, and experts that are trying to work through 3 different avenues, and farmer-led education is key, events, field days like today. We're really passionate about watershed restoration. We feel that's a really good way to measure outcomes of changing farming practices. And then lastly, just focused on new market development, because we can't, do something different in the same system that exists. So we definitely need to look at new markets right now.
Well, I love getting away from commodity agriculture if we can, and changing how we farm at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that an important part of it?
And benefiting the producer and the land and the community around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think is key.
If you have to look forward, let's say 9 years to have a round number to 2030.
Okay.
What do you think the world of regenerative agriculture looks like at that stage? Or what do you hope it looks like?
It's very interesting. When I started learning about this work, I didn't know that it was called regenerative agriculture. I knew that the small town in Kansas that I lived in, I wanted to see more local food. I wanted to know my farmer. I wanted to purchase food closer to home. So that's really how I got started. If you had told me back then that we would transition to what I now see as a movement, I probably would have fallen over. There's just no way. But I think every year it's going to scale up faster and faster. And instead of being something that is at the early adopted stage of a movement, I think we're going to see more adoption in the middle of these practices. And so sometimes I even think of this as regenerative 2.0. It's not, Russell Hetrick was talking today, Rick Haney was talking today, Rick Clark, Brian. The way that they got started with trial and error and not a lot of support, not a lot of agronomic advisement, I think that's all going to change, and I think we're going to see regenerative 2.0.
It's easier to do things with help.
It absolutely is. I think we're going to learn, take some key findings, from these early adopters and find a way to scale inside the middle.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
You're one of the real pioneers in doing cover crops, regenerative agriculture here, and been doing it for a while. If we go forward to, let's say, 2030, what do you think your farm looks like? What do you think regenerative agriculture among your neighboring farmers in other places look like?
The cover crop soil health movement will definitely pick up. There's the cover crop momentum is picking up in this county, and people are trying to figure out how to utilize it with their normal fertility system of manure, which is a byproduct we have to deal with in this area. So there will be some equipment changes to make that happen. On our farm specifically, value-added crops is on the horizon for us. Whether or not that's organic value-added is to be seen yet. We're thinking about it. But we're kind of growing slowly. We haven't gone real crazy with it, which I think is a good story to tell, because some of the stories that are out there is that when these guys are way in and everybody's like, no, that's way too much for me.
Don't try anything too big too fast.
Yeah, so I don't mind moving slow here and trying to help people through that process, and whether that's somebody local, somebody that's been a conventional tilled person, which we have some of that locally.
Okay.
Guys that are just, how do I do this? Where do I start? Well, it's nice to be able to take them and show them in the field, this is where you want to get to 3, 4, 5 years from now. So let's start slow and do that.
So you use the word movement, which I've heard other people use. What does that mean? Movement. We don't do movements in agriculture, do we?
No, there have been though, but it's been the other way. It's been the movement away from rotations in the past to a monoculture essentially, or two crop system in a lot of cases too. But the movement is back the other direction now, trying to get mimic nature a little bit more is a term you've heard thrown around here today quite a bit. And that is something where we're seeing if we can work with nature, it works with us a lot better versus fighting it.
Thank you for starting a movement.
Well, thank you for being here.
Well, hey, Zach, it's the first time we've talked outside of the podcast.
It's good to meet you in person.
Yeah, so it's been referred to a number of times today that this regenerative agriculture as a movement. Is that how you think of it? And what does that mean, a movement?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to me, and maybe it's because I'm a little bit involved in the space now and I'm trying to kind of figure out how we can bring some of it to our farm. Maybe I see it as the movement that a lot of people here are recognizing, but I think, there are a lot of people starting to look at things differently and trying to learn and figure out, how do we go forward? And myself included, we to this day are still mostly conventional till. We don't have much for cover crops, but we're trying to figure out how to work it in realistically to the point where we can do it over all of our acres. I've talked to a lot of people, and one of my big things is when they say start small. Well, I've only got 2 full-time people on our farm. It's myself and my dad. I'm not going to mess around on 10 acres. I mean, I want to figure out how, if we're going to do it, how do we really do it? And so we're kind of slowly building towards that point and figuring out what works and what doesn't.
So probably start with cover crops in some part, or what do you think is your start? What does your start look like?
We've been starting by reducing tillage so far. We've been doing a lot of vertical tillage stuff and kind of just doing less tillage. On some of the fields where we have the variability where it's coarser soils, can we get by with no tillage? And we've done some of that, and it's worked well, but we've been dry for the last couple of years that we've tried it. We do have 30 acres of cover crops this year, which we've tried before. This is the first year we've had any luck with it. We incorporated them differently, and right now it looks pretty good. They got a late start, which is our own fault for planting them too late in the fall, but we're watching and seeing what they'll do.
Yeah. So what do you think it looks like if we zoom forward, let's say, to 2030 to keep our numbers round? What does it look like on your farm? What does it look like on other farms?
I wonder that all the time.
Okay.
When you come down here, where we're at in Washington County, you see an awful lot more cover crop, no-till, stuff like that. I mean, it's no secret where we're at here that's a big part of the area, right? I'd like to think that would be something that would get worked into a lot more of the country here. Will it happen? I don't know, because where I'm at, up by the Continental Divide, the Red River Valley, where you can't hardly get water to flow out of there, and we get so much of it. It's different, it's a little cooler up there, and we still do grow good corn. So it's just trying to figure out exactly what works for where you're at on everybody's operation. I mean, if I would say we will see some shifting towards more of what's going on where we're standing today.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.